It all comes down to this. New Prairie and East Central squaring off for a chance to call themselves the best team in Class 4A in 2022. Both teams needed a little bit of late game heroics in semi-state to get to this matchup. Now, it's time to see who has a little bit of magic left to bring home that state title. It was all Irish from the beginning. The team started off on a 12-4 run, and they did not look back as they took this one wire to wire here tonight. A tough stretch coming up for undefeated Notre Dame women's basketball. On Thursday, they'll welcome 20th-ranked Maryland to town before a top 10 showdown with UConn on Sunday. Head coach Niele Ivey says she's looking to her veterans to take the reins during this test for her team. After one of the biggest upsets in college football this season over number 4 Clemson, Notre Dame now has to quickly turn the page and get ready for their matchup this weekend with Navy. The midshipmen will present the Irish with a bit of a challenge as they feature a run-pass option offense, an option that Notre Dame is preparing for. 10 years ago, Andrew Berlin purchased what was at the time the South Bend Silverhawks. 10 years later, he talks about his plans for the next decade. For a lot of teams, going 9-3 and making a trip to regionals means a successful year. The LaVille Lancers aren't satisfied with just successful, and with nearly all of their starters on both sides of the ball coming back, they say this year it's a trip to Lucas Oil Stadium or bust.
The 1-1 pitch is launched deep out towards right field. Goodbye!
It's not about how you start, but how you finish. Owen Casey had a tough go of things in his first month in South Bend, but since then, Casey has made himself an everyday fixture in the Cubs lineup.
Lottery homer, and no doubt about this one.
First month, I honestly really struggled, but I kept with my approach and my plan, and I knew everything was going to pan out and how to get my feet wet a little bit. But I just try to be hitterish.
Number 20, Owen Casey.
Casey came to the Cubs in a December 2020 trade with the Padres involving former Cub Yu Darvish. Being part of a high-profile deal, Casey says he was a bit taken aback when he heard the news.
I'm not going to lie, I was pretty starstruck. Kind of felt like floating on a cloud because I hadn't been with the Padres for a long time. But I'm happy with the Cubs now, and it's been a good time.
What a moment!
Throughout his first season in South Bend, Casey has been able to find ways to further develop his game. Skipper Lance Reimel says Casey is the type of player who can disrupt an opponent's game plan.
Pitchers they're gonna have to pitch to him differently. He's a big threat in the middle of our lineup. He can put you out, or he can hit an oppo double. He does a lot of great things at the plate. Don't sleep on this guy. He can play left and right field and has a good arm too.
Reimel has had a front row seat to watch Casey's approach when he's at the dish. His manager remains impressed by the amount of preparation put in by the young outfielder.
I feel like he can barrel any pitch that comes his way. Also, just the preparation that he does before the games on the starting pitchers and relievers. He knows what the pitcher's trying to do to him. He has a plan when he goes up to the batter's box, and I think that's really worked for him this year.
For Noah Munguia, this season is about revenge. A few months after last year's loss to Northridge in semi-state, Munguia took up track in the spring to improve his skills on the gridiron and show his dedication to the game.
This last year, he went to track to get faster. The year before, he got in the weight room and got stronger. So just his ability to change his body, to try and fill different roles. We're splitting him out at receiver some, we're jetting him some, getting him the ball a variety of different ways. His just willingness to do whatever it takes to win, I think, is the biggest thing.
And winning is at the forefront of Munguia's mind, as well as the rest of the Cougars. They've shown last year was no fluke, with an unblemished record heading into Week 4. But Munguia says this team hasn't even played close to their best football yet.
1 week at a time, and don't take any team lightly. Simple, that's it. I mean, we got a tough schedule ahead of us, and our sectional did not get easier. So it's just 1 week at a time, focus on who we got that week.
Oh! Munguia has been a starter for head coach Casey McKim since his sophomore year. In that time, his coach says he's taken his game from good to great.
Just really working on weaknesses in their game, in his game. He got a lot bigger from his sophomore to his junior year. He was much more likely to run between the tackles last year. I think he's only improved upon that, really putting his shoulder down and getting those 3 tough yards instead of trying to bounce it and maybe try to make a bigger play.
I feel like I bring a different combination of speed and power, I did work on my speed and agility a little bit this summer, but I'm definitely not afraid to put my shoulder down and still try to run through somebody, you know.
Folks, I am still catching my breath from what was an incredible night of high school hoops. Tonight, legacies were cemented, teams survived, teams advanced, and permanent memories were made.
Players describe Freeman's fit akin to a hand in a glove. Safe to say that any worries about the new Irish head coach struggling to adjust have been quelled. Well, it seems like just yesterday the Colts pulled the plug on the Carson Wentz project and traded him to Washington. Well, that's probably because it wasn't even 2 weeks ago. Today, the Colts made another big move, this one also at the quarterback position. We start tonight with some new developments from Bears camp. NBC Sports Chicago is reporting that Bears head coach Matt Nagy has been informed that he will not be brought back next season, and that this Sunday's game against Minnesota will be his last with the organization. But the highlight of this game comes from Folabami Fayemi. Gets the steal. Flight 24 is cleared for takeoff, and Olivia Miles sends this one back like cold fries at McDonald's.
Leo, this is a big night for basketball here in our area.
That's right, JP. Not one, but two stars getting what they hope to be long and successful NBA careers started tonight. We'll start with Jaden Ivey. Born in South Bend, played at Mishawaka's Marion High before transferring for his senior year. He graduated and went on to play at Purdue before being drafted 5th overall in this year's NBA draft by the Detroit Pistons. And tonight, Ivy and the Pistons kicking off their regular season slate against the Orlando Magic. Well, just when you thought they were out, they pull you back in. The Chicago White Sox are just 2 games back in the Central Division, as well as 2 games back of the 3rd wildcard spot.